people recovered from that incredible GTS party last night. Hopefully disaster recovery was not defined by the difficulty you had getting back to your rooms. Everybody here seems to have shown up and is looking well scrubbed, so obviously it wasn't too extreme. So I'm going to kick off this morning's discussion, and you're going to hear from my colleagues and some of your colleagues as well on a very important topic related to infrastructure. You know, for all of us in the IT business, we have clearly a history in dealing with infrastructure. It's a lot of what we do. It's a lot of what we're challenged to guide our respective customers on. And it's a topic that is incredibly important in terms of the outcome around what the technology is going to do for the businesses that we try to serve with technology. Infrastructure does matter. There are critically important choices that one makes based upon the characteristics of the application, the business process, the business outcome, the characteristics of the business, scalability, reliability, recoverability, aspects of security and audit. There are a lot of challenging and complex topics that have to be addressed when you're doing serious computing to solve serious problems. And that's not to say that all computing has to be serious. But for all of us that deal in the business space, there's a responsibility that we carry to guide our clients to effective outcomes, choosing the right technology for the right purpose. And that's what I want to kick us off on here this morning and talk a little bit about some of the factors and attributes and things to consider. So, you know, we all know how we got here today at this event. Some of you, given the weather conditions in the U.S., might have felt like it was a horse and wagon effort to finally get here to Vegas. We heard about one of our partners from Asia taking days to make it across the ocean given weather conditions and such. But we all do understand in the physical world, our understanding of infrastructure tends to be quite clear. We know what gets us there in time. We know what's modern and efficient. We tend to not be confused in the physical world that we all live in. In my experience, I find many of the clients that I deal with, though, get a bit confused in the virtual world of information technology. The fact that terminology tends to be applied broadly across categories of technology does not necessarily mean that every element that falls into that category of server or storage or middleware or database or whatever the term is created equal. They are different technologies for different purposes, and steering our customers towards the right answer is what they all look for us to do. And at times we have to contend with emotion and even religious belief based upon people's personal preferences and historical backgrounds. We know that when you utilize resources poorly, you're going to get a poor result. And often poor reliability and poor economics. One of the things that I find customers struggle with is economics. Very few customers that I deal with around the world, and the numbers obviously are quite large, have clarity as to what information technology is costing them at the elemental level. They may know what their total budget is, but they've not done activity-based costing. They have no budgetary breakdown. They don't know what different systems cost them. They don't have clarity on aspects of labor versus assets. And we're in an industry where asset costs keep on going down. I mean, hardware asset costs have come down quite dramatically. What you get for the money is extraordinary. The level of science in the devices that we carry and in the equipment that our customers utilize is really quite remarkable for the money that you spend. Software per unit of work has come down dramatically in cost, even though the prices for a license might not have changed. What a license does and the level of scalability and performance available for simply a single license is quite dramatic. Now, in the IBM company, we know that we're getting easily 1/10 of the dollar value today that we got 10 to 15 years ago for a license relative to the performance that license is delivering on today's hardware. In other words, the customer is getting more than 10 times the level of scalability, number of users, amount of data managed, performance measured in transactions per second or messages per second, going up quite dramatically. The price of the software hasn't risen, but the capability of the software combined with the hardware is delivering extraordinary value improvements. The asset cost is often not the issue. You know, what is the issue is labor costs, surrounding infrastructure costs, power, space, cooling, cabling, and frankly, all of the people necessary to deal with the care and feeding of infrastructure. Customers ask me constantly about saving money. There's not a customer out there that I deal with that isn't asking questions about saving money. How do I save money? What do you recommend, IBM? All right? I give them some very simple answers. Answer number one, get rid of boxes. You have too many boxes, too many power supplies. Everything you plug in the walls consuming energy, and everything you plug in takes care and feeding. The boxes don't just sit there and run themselves. People have to do things. Get rid of boxes. Why do you have so many servers? Why is 75% of your data duplicate? Why do you have so many storage spindles? Why is there storage being shipped into your shop every single week, and 75% of that is duplicate data? You know, why are your servers underloaded? Why is your average Intel server loaded under 20%? Why is it you can't virtualize? Why is it you haven't worked on improving your application structure so you get your working set down so you can virtualize and partition and run huge amounts of workload on a server instead of having lots of servers? You have too many boxes. You want to save money, get rid of boxes. That may mean making some changes to your infrastructure and your environment, clearly making changes to the way in which you think about technology, and obviously breaking the back of some of the siloed thinking that exists in the industry where our customers organize around architecture, right? They organize around an Intel server farm, and you have the religious zealots on the Intel side as compared to RISC Unix, as compared to mainframe, and guess what? They're at war with each other because their perception is that the more work that goes on their box, the more secure their job is. You all watch this stupidity. You know, it goes on every day. Second thing, after you're done getting rid of boxes, get rid of applications. Duplication. Duplication. Just about every institution of any size in the world has duplication. When you take out the duplicate applications you have, you're going to not just save on hardware and software, you're going to save on labor, you're going to save on business process, your company will run in a more streamlined way, you will save lots of money. You know, we use IBM as frankly one of our favorite examples. In 1993, over 16,000 applications. By 2013, 4,000 applications. Billions of dollars of reduction in IT costs, tremendous consolidation, elimination of data centers, massive savings. Can be done. Can be done. You've got to have will to go do it. You've got to have a roadmap. You've got to focus on it. And you've got to recognize that the technology is there to help you achieve better economics. The newer technologies that are sweeping across the market are, in many ways, a byproduct, if you will, of the improving performance and economics of the hardware. As hardware has gotten cheaper, the possibilities of doing more things has been growing. This idea of big data is directly related to the fact that high-performance hardware at relatively low cost makes it possible for you to work with even more data than ever before. And therefore it opens up the possibilities of finding things and doing things you couldn't do previously. Obviously the explosion in mobile devices and all of those possibilities, you know, is bringing new functionality, you know, but also adding new stresses into the environment. Cloud offers all kinds of potential for improved economics and faster deployment. Social is something that is a sort of fundamental, you know, long wave change to the way in which businesses are thinking about how they manage their people and how people interact. And this idea of the Internet of Things, which is going to result in billions and billions of devices of various kinds being connected in a way that gives us instrumentation, knowledge, and understanding of the physical infrastructure that is critical to our world. You've all seen these kinds of statistics, the incredible growth in data and information, the number of things that are connected, the number of things that will be connected going out in time. All of that is putting stress on the infrastructure. So even application scenarios that people conceive of as beginning to be relatively lightweight, easy to get started, you know, small number of users, let me bring in the cheapest technology I can to get started with that particular project. The question is, where's it going to go? How are you going to advise the customer, not just on the short-term potential to get some value from technology, but the longer-term requirements for effective infrastructure that serves that application as it grows, as the number of users grow, the amount of data grows, and the criticality of that application grows. You know, all of us are very familiar with the phenomenon of email. You know, and every CIO talks about this, right? That the phone rings faster when the email system goes down, you know, than when the transaction processing system goes down. You know, the fact that you can't get access to your ledger is less important than when the CEO can't get access to his or her email. These things become mission critical by virtue of the dependencies that we create around these things. And so these systems of engagement, if you will, in contrast to traditional systems of record, are becoming mission critical and therefore require thoughtful approaches to infrastructure and infrastructure management. So, you know, we're clearly on an evolution. You know, it's not that new things that come along don't change what we do. The old tends not to go away as much as the old gets transformed over time. You know, when I meet with banks, they talk about direct access into their IMS backends with mobile devices. So someone's going into a DB2 backend database that's managed by an IMS transaction monitor, right, capable of running tens of thousands of transactions a second, and they're doing mobile lookup for end consumers in banking and driving dramatic increases in the load on their mainframe. Now, it's an engagement notion. You know, the transaction counts are not going up, but it's dynamically changing the very nature of their mainframe environment and the way they think about traditional infrastructure. New things wash across the old and transform them as opposed to eliminating them. So things are becoming more dynamic. You know, cloud and federated service environments, this idea of cognitive systems, as you saw in the opening video around Watson. Things in real time, obviously data in motion, you know, other factors that are driving the shifts in the IT environment. All the more reason why our customers need your advice and guidance, you know, and wisdom as to what's going to work for the particular business problem that they're facing. So I do think that there are some sort of basic fundamentals that are critically important in guiding customers. You know, and it is about understanding infrastructure as compared to what the particular use scenario is. You know, thinking about designs going forward that are ready for cloud, ready for mobile. You hear us in IBM, you know, talking about mobile first, cloud first. You know, it's not that other approaches are not important, but it's from the very beginning of the project thinking about where the infrastructure will need to go, what kinds of devices are going to have to be supported, you know, and getting out in front on the changes that have to occur. Obviously, the data will grow. We've all seen the statistics. And security is becoming an ever bigger issue. So ever more important to bring these ideas forward early on, get the design right in the beginning, as opposed to having to rework the application because the security services are inadequate, the ability to handle large amounts of data are inadequate. It's that forward view that is so critical around applications. And you hear from my colleagues here on various aspects of this as we talk about infrastructure and cloud for the rest of the morning. There is a roadmap here that we see our customers getting on. You know, it's one that takes place over time. You know, you evolve on this path, you know, towards an ever-increasing level of consistency and standardization. Guiding customers on how to get to higher levels of automation means guiding them on standardization. You know, it's the client that you meet with and that says to you, you know, I'm a WebSphere user and I have 8 configurations that we use in my shop for WebSphere. So we have good consistency. We only have 8 configurations. We then go in and study, and we find out that they have 10 derivatives of each 8 configurations, so they have 80 configurations. Right? So they're not getting best economics. They allow their teams to play around with too many elements and parameters. They wandered away from consistency. And you wander away from consistency, you're not going to get automation. You're not going to be well prepared to take advantage of cloud economics. And you're not going to have dynamic, request-driven provisioning and scheduling of infrastructure because the number of variables becomes so large it's almost impossible to be able to automate and script that. You know, and finally, you've got to standardize if you think that better economics are going to be realized through federated processes. You know, think about what's been happening in the world now for, you know, literally since the 1960s. Companies of all kinds have come into the marketplace to offer different types of electronic services and capabilities. You know, we talk about business process services and traditional providers, here in the US, for example, ADP, which is a born-on-the-cloud company. I'm sure the ADP folks would love to get a cloud multiple on their stock. You know, they've delivered profits every quarter since they went public. It is an electronic business, and if you're an accountant and your company uses ADP, they're your cloud provider. If you're a sales rep for that same company and you use Salesforce.com, they're your cloud provider. Right? These federated services have been with us, and these companies that deliver these services exist in the tens of thousands. Tens of thousands of businesses are out there today delivering services of all kinds, and every one of our customers wants to look at ways in which they can streamline through considering external service providers. The requirement, obviously, for integration and control, management of those service interfaces, combined with being able to essentially bring that capability, if you will, virtually in-house, requires standardization, consistency, and a real understanding of your data and data governance so that you map effectively to what the external service provider can provide. And it's all about making your environment more fungible, more dynamic, and more economic. And so this is a path that for all you working with clients, and you all are, we're systematically taking them down this road. And at every step along the way, they need advice and counsel, and occasionally some tough love. Occasionally get past ideas of the past, get past false notions of better economics, get past some of the religious and political issues that exist inside of businesses, and recognize that there really is a roadmap here towards greater functionality and better economics around IT. Some very quick examples. Nationwide, a great IBM client that does a great deal with Linux on their Z platform. Z is the system they decided to exploit for Linux. They spent a year studying this. They did detailed comparisons of running Linux on Intel versus Linux on Z, and they found out that they got a more dynamic, more scalable environment and a lower cost environment by moving their Linux work onto the mainframe than fragmenting it across lots of different servers. And they are one of our largest Linux on Z customers. But many, many other businesses have moved down this path, and Linux has been one of the key growth drivers for our mainframe environment. Visa in Europe. Visa is a power-based customer. 8,000 transactions a second, peaking at 12,000. Thousands of rules associated with credit card constraints and authorizations, verification of identity, serial data dependencies, classical transaction processing structures, right? You got to do compensation, remediation, rollback, and recovery, right? The idea that you would ever do that effectively in a scale-out environment is a joke, all right? So it's a joke, right? Scale-up is here to stay. Scale-up is going to serve businesses for decades and decades to come. There's nothing new in computer science. We haven't changed the fundamentals of unknown state machine architecture. Don't let people tell you that some crappy-doodle notion of the way anything can work on any system works. It doesn't. It does not. Don't be fooled, okay? You want to do serious business work, you got to make serious decisions on serious technology. Take Sageka in Belgium. They're a partner of ours. They do hosting services. We work with them on improving economics around storage. They host a lot of tier 1 type applications for customers. We brought in SSD, solid state, flash. Dramatic improvements in performance, 20x. And also improvements in economics. Why? Well, because for that class of application, you're having to spread the data across many different spindles. You don't get effective utilization of magnetic in that kind of environment. You position the arm over the track in order to make sure that you get rapid response because it's a tier 1 mission critical application. In those instances, flash is cheaper. Flash may be twice the price on a cost per gigabyte. It's half the price deployed in the shop in tier 1 environments on a total cost of ownership basis. Half the price at 20x the performance. Half the price at 20x the performance. Get on the flash bandwagon. Huge savings, huge benefits in steering customers towards TCO-based decisions rather than immediate purchase cost decisions. And finally, Nordstrom. And this is a customer that's working with us around a SaaS model. Now they want to understand better what's going on with purchases, what their buyers and customers are doing. This is an area where many of our clients don't fully understand what return on investment they're going to get as they begin to attack from a big data perspective, consumer sentiment, consumer buying patterns. Will this drive up the activity in the store? Retailers are very margin sensitive. And so we were able to bring in our digital analytics, fully hosted, software as a service, and have driven a significant return for them, leveraging a SaaS-based offering to give them the ability to ramp up across their stores this kind of customer insight and analysis. You're going to hear from the team on cloud. We have Lance Crosby here, who leads the SoftLayer team. We're going to talk a lot about that this morning in terms of cloud and the cloud decisions that you face. And you really again, want to look at infrastructure and understand how that infrastructure and the dynamics of it play against the different use cases and scenarios. And cloud comes in many flavors, whether it's on-premise, off-premise, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's SaaS. And there are a lot of gains and benefits, and the customers are anxious to understand how do they take advantage of this? How do they take advantage of what they perceive to be better economics around cloud-based services, greater agility through cloud-based services, but they need help and guidance. You've heard from the IBM team that everything we're doing in support of on-premise, and everything we're doing in support of cloud. If it's a product on-premise, it's a SaaS product. If it's a SaaS product, it's a product on-premise. If it's a capability you can deploy in your environment, it's going to be a capability you can deploy on SoftLayers. And Lance will talk more to you about the mission-critical, highly durable, highly scalable infrastructure that's part of the SoftLayers environment. Finally, for all of you, our strategy continues to be one of building ever larger ecosystems. We have literally hundreds of thousands of people that we have authorized around our products and services that are part of your organizations that are helping us build the market. We are not going to build the market any other way. It's not going to happen because badge-carrying IBMers are the sole purveyor of our value, of our capability. It's going to be all of you. And the fact of the matter is, in terms of the customer-facing resources that we have, you end up bringing more resources to bear than we do on the direct side. We want to reach more customers in more markets. I think we would all say we'd like to see more customers buying more technology, and you're a key part of that. The ecosystem is critical to our success. You're a critical route to market. Hopefully you feel that we're behaving that way. We're practicing what we preach. We're helping you sort through the many issues and challenges you have in working with us in over 170 countries and coordinating your efforts. We're maniacally focused on maintaining consistency around the incentives and programs and the certainty that you have that working with IBM means that you make money. We understand you're in your business, you're not in our business. Right? You have to make money, you have to make payroll, you have to be successful. You need to feel confident that your investments are being protected and that over time you're going to have the opportunity to build and grow more successful businesses. And we want to pass more leads to you. We generate a lot of leads in IBM. There's a lot of interest out there. This market is hot. There's no question about it. Customers have a lot of interest. We're getting the leads, you're getting the leads. We need to work together to take advantage of the extraordinary opportunities that are out there for us in today's market. So, we have a lot to talk about this morning, and what I want to do next is turn you over to Tom Rosamilia. Tom, as you know, leads our hardware business, and Tom's going to pick up where I left off and talk more about the wonders of hardware technology.
I don't know about you, but I think Steve lacks passion on that topic, so I'm not really sure that he's